Yeah, that's the place where you cross into the Turkish side. And I wonder, would that be a good idea to cross into Turkish part and walk there? And it's not shown here, but I can walk there, and there's another crossing, Ledras Palace crossing or something it was called, and I could walk back here and back here to make a circle and to see how is this. I think it's a good idea. So let's go for it, friends. I have taken out my passport already and I'm holding my camera in a little bit more stealth mode, and let's see how easy or difficult it goes. I heard that it's pretty easy, that they're not making it very difficult for these tourist people like us to cross in and out. Let's see. If it is difficult, I just walk back. I don't need it so badly. Yeah, there is some Greek writing. There probably is some more meaning in this thing, which I have no clue of. Hello. Thank you. Well, that was simple. That was very simple, and that was the Greek Cypriot side. And this thing, this place, as far as I understand, is the no man's land. That's the Greek part, the Greek-speaking Cyprus. And this is the no man's land, the buffer zone, where nobody is allowed to live or walk or do anything. And this street basically is the place which I understand is the border. Well, I shouldn't call it border, it's politically incorrect to the Greek-speaking Cyprus part, as far as I understand. That's not border, that's buffer zone, as they call it. And here, will there be Turkish side of the border? What is it here? Yeah, immigration control. Okay, let's do it. So that is the Turkish side, the passport control, which we have to still go through to get in the Turkish side. Hello.
Yes.
Vaccine, okay.
Not this one. This is a test. You cannot cross the border with test.
Thank you. So, it wasn't difficult either, but they did ask for vaccine, and I heard that from the other tourists, they asked vaccine and they explained that PCR test is not okay. Forbidden zone. That's crazy. So this is the Turkish part. Well, let's see, friends. Will it be completely different world or not? It feels different. It looks a little bit different as well. But let's keep exploring a little bit. Well, I am kind of stepping into this territory too soon. But I was just still curious, so I thought, why not make one circle through this place? because you know, on the day when I will properly be, yeah, a lot of unrepaired places here. On the Greek side, I didn't see that. Greek-speaking side, should I say, probably, because otherwise it can be offending to somebody again if I don't know even how to talk not to offend anybody. Okay, in any case, when I will be crossing properly into this Northern Cyprus part, I will be happy to move quicker to the north, because I'll have only 2 nights, so 3 days, 2.5 days in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, and because of that I will want to see more other places, so it is probably a good idea that I can have a little bit of a glimpse of this part of the city today, while I still come back to my cheap hostel on this side. Yeah, let's keep exploring and see what's interesting here. I have to put my passport and my vaccination back in my wallet, and then I can keep going. Yeah, you see, this is the very, very center of the historical center of the capital, and you see there are quite a few houses which are not very much repaired, and as far as I understood from the bus prices which I was researching when deciding where to go and when to go and which side of the Cyprus, I understand that everything here is dirt cheap. It's old and beautiful, well, not maybe kept so well, but dirt cheap. Especially now, when during the last year or two, or maybe more even, the Turkish lira, which they use here as well, not only in Turkey, the Turkish lira has been plummeting down, losing its value like crazy. I don't know, dear people in Turkey, you need to get into Bitcoin or something. Well, what can be better than Bitcoin, or more safer than Bitcoin? But yeah, it's crazy to live in a place where, oh, that's something interesting, let's go. I don't need to go there, but let's just check out what it is. That's cool. The firewood. That's cool. Is it from the bombings of 70s? Looks like it could be. That's crazy. Was it 75 or 74 or 6 or what was it? Sometime in the middle of 70s, when the Turkish army came in and bombed everything, and from that moment on, de facto Cyprus have been divided in two. But of course de jure nobody is recognizing it besides Turkey. Yeah, what I was saying, it's quite crazy to live in a place where your currency is losing value in front of your eyes. Like every fiat currency is losing the value. Even the US dollar, they're printing it now like crazy, and of course it's losing value because of that, even though official statistics wouldn't show you that. But the reality, I think it's just a matter of time, not too long time, year or two, when everybody will be seeing it. I think it's already noticed by most economically educated people. But yeah, what can I tell? It's crazy when somebody can just drain your value. Imagine you're keeping your Turkish liras under your mattress as your savings, or in bank account. It wouldn't change anything. And you're having your job or pension or whatever, which is paid in Turkish liras, or rental income, which is paid in Turkish liras. And central bank can just print out more liras. They will have those papers which they printed, but your papers under your mattress will be half less valuable. And that's actually something very cruel, what central banks can do and does, especially during these COVID times. They're just printing like crazy. And yeah, what is the result? Those who get this newly printed money, they are happy. But everyone else, their dollar or their lira is less valuable. It's basically the same thing as if some robber came in my house and robbed half of the money which I stored under my mattress. It's basically the same thing. Now the central bank came, even without coming in my house, but they stole half of my liras under my mattress just by devaluing it, just by printing more. So yeah, people, get into something solid like Bitcoin. Of course, gold and other stuff can be used as well, but even that is not so good. More gold can be produced, but not more Bitcoin. Anyway, that's an off-topic about prices. But in my case, yeah, of course, it's nice to have to pay very little for everything when I come in here. But it's a little bit painful because I know on whose expense is it. The poor people who have to live on this Turkish lira system inside of it. You know what, friends, I like this place so much that I decided to come back. Well, come back. I was just outside of that door. I come back in and to sit on this bench and have some lunch. It's a nice place to have lunch, what do you think? And it's a nice lunch. Well, it doesn't look very nice, but it's crazy tasty. These persimmons are fantastic. Bon appetit. One funny observation, friends. Do you see that cat? There were two of them, and they were quite close, but I wasn't quick enough to take out my camera. I was thinking that sort of color for cat. I was always thinking it's very unusable. Oh, there's another one. Well, it has some white color as well. I have always, oh, here he is. I've always been thinking that this color for cat, it's very unusable because it's very difficult for them to mask. because everything around is obviously green in different kind of shades of green. That's why the military uniforms are these green patched kind of Turkish pattern. But here, look at these walls. They blend in perfectly, and I thought in this half desert kind of situation where you have this type of color stones on your barren fields where no green grass is growing, it's actually very good color for a cat if he wants to hunt. It never occurred to me before. Funny. Well, friends, that was seriously delicious, I must tell you that. And you know what? There is a sign about WC with arrow on the right. I wouldn't be opposed to finding that place. Where is it? Wow, there is something interesting. One of the most important architectural works of the Turkish period of Cyprus. Okay. 16th century, end of the 16th century. And you see some maps from, oh no, it's 19th century, and okay, that's something else. Yeah, I just noticed that it's from 70s, 78. I thought it's around that time, but no, it's 100 years earlier. It just dawned to me, I was very naive to think that these will be about the 70s of the 20th century. Of course, this is the Turkish side. So they are showing the maps which show the whole Cyprus, you see, full of Turkish cemeteries. And this is exactly that year when the Ottoman rule ended, when Ottoman Empire got defeated and British started to rule. So basically that's the very height of the Turkish rule in this place. And they're showing it to show that Turks have lived always here. You see, end of 19th century. That's what they want to show. They don't want to show how it was Greek ruled after the British came out in the 1960, I think it was. And then they came in and got the border somewhere around here. Of course, they won't show you these maps. These maps will be shown on the other side. But yeah, I'm having a little bit of a joke about this because it's the human psychology, how each side is showing that they're the right ones. But don't get me wrong, I'm in no way or form making joke about all the tragedy which happened and all the wars and lost lives and lost houses and damaged houses and annexed places and yeah, all of that. That's a separate story which I wouldn't make any jokes about. But here, this place is called Buyuk Han, Big Inn. Basically, it was a hotel or hostel or whatever you call it, which was built in end of 16th century, 1572. Now I can tell you because I just read it. And this thing in the middle of here, it is said to be masjid. Masjid. And masjid, as far as I understand, in Arabic, I think masjid means mosque. So can it really be a mosque for these travelers? And it was quite big. How big was it? 68? Forgot already, I just read it. 68, yes, 68 rooms. And the first, on the ground floor and on the first floor, all around 68 rooms in total. And you can see each that door is a separate room for the travelers, like myself. Cool. And this is masjid. I think in Arabic it's masjid, but I'm not sure. And this was for washing your feet before the prayer. Obviously, if the travelers lived here and this was part of the Muslim world, well, still is, then they needed to do their daily prayers. 5 prayers a day, how much they have, Muslims? 5 or 6? 5, I think. Sorry about my what do you call it, ignorant attitude. I just don't know. it's not just that I don't care, I just don't know. And so obviously they were praying while staying here, and somehow they needed to pray. Okay, here it is, friends. It really is a prayer room. The masjid place. I didn't take off my shoes, so I won't go in, and this thing probably therefore stands here to prohibit people like me from walking in without a need. So that's obviously towards Mecca, and to my feel, yeah, it should be around that direction. So that's the place you face when you pray. For 68 people maximum, plus staff. Interesting. That is the place where I just was up. Interesting, interesting. Well, for me at least it's interesting, because for me it's something new, unusual. I haven't seen these things normally in Europe. And let's find out. Can I go up here? It looks like nobody is prohibiting. Yes, and there are some souvenir shops, so definitely tourists like me should be even welcomed here, not just allowed. Yeah, and these are the rooms. Wow. Imagine living in that kind of rooms. That's the 16th century hostel, my friends. It looked a bit different in those days. Well, probably, to be honest, I shouldn't say hostel, hotel. Cool. That's a 16th century Hilton, my friends. That's what I should be saying, probably. It's the cool hostel. Hotel, not hostel. Nice. Should I try to peek in one of those rooms? Imagine living here in the 16th century, and I guess that this door is a newer thing. It was a wall, and there was the separate entrance, and that was your neighbor. So basically this was your room, and that was here you were living. What is this? Let's pretend we didn't notice such a foolish thing.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Oh, it's okay, I'm just looking, thank you. Have a good day. It was exactly when I was making foolish jokes about no photography sign when she came in. Yes, she was all nice. No issues. There's a corner room. cool. And there is a proper mosque outside. So this was just a prayer room for when you, let's say if you were staying here in the very night, in the night prayers, late night and early morning, you probably wouldn't be going out to that mosque, you would just be coming here for the prayer. In the 16th century Hilton. That's cool. And look at this, guys. There's so many. Zinger. Eine deutsche Sache. All kinds of funny stuff. Yeah. You know, guys, the longer I'm staying here, the longer I find more interesting things to look at. And probably I should start to leave, otherwise I will never leave. That's crazy. But yeah, I definitely like this place. And you saw, friends, how I found this place. I didn't have any plan. I just saw on my map that this is kind of a more central, more touristy, more historical part of the city, and I just thought, okay, let's have a walk around. And then I noticed, oh, that's an interesting building. And then I came out of that and I noticed, there is one even more interesting building. And that's how we got here. Crazy. But you know, even though I am a person who likes to plan things and likes to adhere to a plan, I also have learned to, that's the other side where we can go down, I also have learned to appreciate those unexpected moments. And honestly, it is so often when I find that the most interesting moments in my travels were the moments where something unexpected happened. Like this, when I just suddenly found such a place without knowing that there is such a place. Okay, you see, this is the small door, and it is literally height of my chest. Very small. So that's used probably when they were closing the big gate at the evening. Safety and security, guys. And then if you were late coming with your donkey or your camel, you could ask through this small door to be let in. Well, maybe not with your camel. It's too small. Well, anyway, I'm just imagining, as you can understand and guess. Not that I know these things. So, what I was starting to say was that I noticed then that most interesting stuff in my travel, most interesting moments and most pleasant, emotional, what do you call it? Is this Kemal Atatürk? It is him. Wow, I haven't seen this guy. Would that be too wrong if I would say that it's a Turkish Lenin? Oh, I probably shouldn't make such statements because I know too little about it. And I can involuntarily touch some issues which I don't want to touch. Because I don't want to laugh about people and about nations and about their history. We are all humans. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Properly old. And probably destroyed during the 70s again, my guess. I don't know. Okay, fifth time I'm trying to finish that sentence, or whichever time, I don't know. You can see some historical pictures here, and there is writings in Greek, not Turkish. Okay. Anyway, I'll try to finish that sentence again. And you hear that music? I don't know if you can hear it. That's a different music. That's not Greek, that's Turkish. Okay, again, I'll try to finish that sentence. And that's honey as well. So I know now that Han means inn or hotel. Cool. And this, okay. We were here a while ago, you remember? Now you can see the windows from outside as well, how they look. So this is their hotels. Aha, and here you see, oh, that's interesting. The Turkish side they're not shy to show all the city walls, not just one part. The Greek side showed only that southern part, but here they show everything. Interesting. Does it mean anything? Don't ask me. Okay, let's not go in there again for another time. Oh, here you can. He's dancing. The driver is dancing. They're both dancing. Life. I like this place. You won't go bored here. Okay, what is it? 8th or 9th time when I try to finish that sentence. That I have noticed during my travels that the most important, no, not most important, most interesting or happy moments usually were the unplanned moments. Because when you plan, you already expect a lot. And then when you expect a lot, sometimes your expectations are justified, sometimes they're not. But you are not starting from the point of zero, you are already expecting something. David People, what's that? Funny. So your expectations are already high, and because of that, it can be either better or worse or just neutral what you find. But when you haven't planned things and suddenly something nice happens, this nice thing can be even a small thing, but it will be still positive, not neutral, because you didn't expect anything. Your expectations were zero, and then something nice happened and you're happy. And basically that's probably the way how to learn to live happy. Don't expect things, and whatever nice things happens, even if it's small, it will make you happy because you didn't expect it. You were not having this attitude that you are eligible to that. You are, how do you call it? That, what's the word? I forgot the term in English. When entitlement mentality. Yeah, we were here already. And this is actually called Grand Turkish Bath. Now we know it. I was talking to you guys when I was here, and oh, it's open actually. Let's find out. Okay, but I want to finish that sentence. That's crazy. it will be interesting to peek in there as well. So basically, when you have this entitlement mentality or thinking that you are entitled, wow, that's cool, and that's the roof they have. It's a little bit similar to the what do you call them? Sulfur baths in. Is it okay to walk here? I hope. It's definitely possible, but I hope it's allowed as well. I wanted to show you this, guys, and look myself as well. That's cool. And they're painting it white. Cool. Yeah, and then it won't heat up in the sun too much. Well, it's for the next summer, not for the winter. Anyway, so if you have this entitlement thinking and mentality, that you are entitled to something, some good experiences, because you planned it already, you paid for it, you sacrificed your time to come here, and you made all the necessary sacrifices to be here in this planned place. Usually what happens is that when you see the actual thing and explore the place, you're kind of, okay, yeah, nice, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more even, but okay, and that's it. You're not happy. But when you don't expect anything, let's say I expect only, that's how they store the gas in these cylinders, and the water in this one. Interesting. And the water is probably from the roof, I'm guessing. Don't know. Okay. When I don't expect anything, I expect only to find a place where I can sleep, and these are the smaller gas cylinders. You all recognize these probably. And I just expect, yeah, interesting how they build. On the roof where water goes out are these things, so that it drains away from the wall, so wall isn't, it's not kept damp, and the life for that wall becomes suddenly a lot more longer. Cool. So yes, when I don't expect anything, just I expect to find a place where I can sleep and find something edible and drinkable, and I'll be happy. Then everything that happens on top of that, which is a lot, makes you happy. Imagine? It's a huge key. I didn't plan speaking on these things. I just got carried away because of that situation with that Han. But basically that's the idea. Let's peek in. Oh, that's cool. The Turkish bath. The famous thing called Turkish bath. That's the bath itself, is it? And these are the changing chambers, or what do you call them? Cool in any way. Can we get in? No, we can't. Can we get in here maybe? Yes, let's try. And it looks like the old level was here, and then it was, with the centuries, building up the many cultural layers, which archaeological excavators would dig and make these excavations and find out different layers of different centuries. Cool. We have the same thing in Riga, in the Dome Cathedral. The cathedral is very deep below the today's surface of the street, and it's the same thing here. I hope it's okay if I peek in here. Reception even. Reception. Some stones. Would you like to walk in such shoes? Definitely everybody would hear that you're walking. Cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it looks like there was some curtain, so you can change here. And then, is this a bath? No, it's like a fountain. It looks like a fountain. What's here? I'm actually surprised how well this phone is seeing. I see better in the screen with my own eyes than I see in that darkness. What's here? Toilets. Really? Interesting. Wow, this is cool. This is amazing. And you see, you can place colored glass in those small windows. You saw them from outside, did you? The small round glass. What do you call them? Windows? Light portals? So some showers. Hammam. What does mean hammam? It was something Arabic, I don't remember what. This was the sauna kind of part, the hot part probably. Probably. That's amazing. I'm still not sure if these are the painters. Oh, this is cool, I like this. I want to build a house with such thing. And there is something, I have no clue what's that. Anyway, cool. So that is the place where which is heated up probably. Amazing, amazing people. Now, tell me this thing. Could you expect to have such a visit? Could you plan it? No. I just walked. You saw, I walked besides this place from outside first time, and I walked by, I didn't notice this place. And now I walked in for the second time and look what we found. Amazing. Amazing people. So, this is again one more illustration of this idea that when you don't expect things and they happen, it makes you happy. Let's close the door as we found it. And thank you, dear people who own this place, for letting me in. Well, I don't know if you would let me in if you knew that I was coming, but this dog is on leash, on chain, not just leash. And he has, poor dog, he has a chain without a carabiner, without a swivel, I mean. It's all twisted and short for him now. Poor doggy. Okay, so that's the Grand Turkish Bath, which we were in. This is one happy place. They know how to celebrate life. I was showing him this when they were passing, and he was showing me heart on the reply. Cool place. Anyway, about this expecting, non-expecting. So I didn't plan to tell about these things, but when this happened just now with this big Han, I just started to think about it, and I thought, maybe I should share it with you, because this is something really huge thing which I have observed again and again, that we can ourselves decide how happy will we be, because happiness is very, very relative term. It's not an absolute thing that if you have this you are happy, or if you don't have that you are not happy. It's nowhere near that. Completely wrong. And now I'm wondering if I can walk to that mosque, because I saw that big minaret somewhere there, and it's not on my Google map for some reason, I don't know why. And by the way, I just noticed that my phone has switched from the Greek Cypriot provider to the Turkish Cypriot provider, and that's no longer for free for me. That's not European Union anymore. The Greek side Cyprus is, but the Turkish side is not. We meet them again and again. Funny. In Europe, in northern kind of Europe, when people go with these street trains, tourist trains, they're always very gloomy faces, very bored, very not satisfied with life kind of faces. Here they are the same tourists probably from Europe, I don't know where they come from. That's the minaret. Okay, I have further to go. Let's see which way we can take. Yeah, I was here already, and my Google Maps doesn't help me much in this place. There is something, but I can't see where the mosque is, for example. And even this thing, at least in my current zooms, or whatever it's, no, not even zooms, I can zoom in and out, but from the maps which I have loaded, and I have loaded whole island of Cyprus in offline maps, so it shouldn't be my fault. But Google doesn't show even this thing. Imagine, even this thing they don't show. Bad. And not that mosque as well. We'll go and find out. So yeah, I will probably annoy some of you with detouring all the time and not being able to finish one thought 400 times. But I think it might be more interesting in this situation if I tell you, instead of if I was sitting somewhere and just showing you something and talking. Okay, I have noticed that this happiness is very relative thing, not absolute, and you can feel as happy as or unhappy as you choose, and the way how you choose is not directly, you can't directly choose to be happy or not to be happy, but you set it in your kind of inner settings with your expectations. If we can take, for example, something more measurable, let's say your amount of wage, it will be a very measurable thing. So you can earn, for example, 200 local money per month, whatever the money is, it doesn't matter. And for you it is normal because that's what you're used to, 200 local money per month. And then when suddenly you're having a cut, and your boss is saying that from next month you will be receiving only 180. You feel dissatisfied, you feel sad or angry or whatever. These guys are following me. And when somebody is in his way, he is not dancing anymore. He was making different kind of gestures. Did you see it? I'm not sure if I showed you. But in any way, that's only understandable. That's maybe even some illustration to what I'm talking to you, because he was expecting to be able to cross there, and it didn't work out. Okay, is this the mosque? Probably not. Okay, that's a Turkish flag, is it? I think it's Turkish flag. I'm starting to doubt. No, it was something very similar, so it must be. And that's the North Cyprus Turkish Republic flag. Two together, like the South Cypriot flag is often together with the Greek flag. So again, Islam Bilim, whatever it is. Tarihi Sergisi. Have no clue what it is. But let's keep exploring and let's finish this chat. So, how do you choose to be happy or unhappy? By setting your inner settings of expectations. So, if you had this 200 salary or wage, and then you're downgraded to 180, you are unhappy because you have less. But if, for example, you are getting an upgrade from 200 to 240, you feel happy because you're suddenly getting more. And the thing is that you was expecting to have that salary. So if you don't receive it, you feel angry and unhappy. And if you do receive it on the promised amount, then you feel not happy, but you're feeling just okay. It had to happen. What is this place?
We have an exhibition
Okay.
on inventions made hundreds of years ago by Muslims
Okay.
in medicine, in chemistry, in astronomy, etc.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes,
Is it a paid exhibition or free?
it's free.
Free. Okay. Okay. I'll walk around.
Where are
and
you
see.
from?
Latvia.
Latvia.
Latvia. Well, there's some exhibition which I didn't expect about Muslim achievements in all kind of sciences, as far as I understood. That's cool. And I have heard that the Arab world and the Muslim world during one time in the history, I just don't know which time, was very advanced, was more advanced than today's Europe, let alone America, which wasn't there even. Well, America as we know it wasn't there. The continent, of course, was there. So the idea is that if you set a high expectations, you will have very difficult time. Oh, that's cool. It looks like some steam engine or something. It looks like there was a water which was pumped in that boiler, which was heated with wood burning stove, and then the steam was pressing out here against these, and that was turning and providing something, whatever it could be. Cool. I was dreaming about such things in my childhood, and I already started to build one, but I never got to finish, unfortunately. And that's a gearbox for lifting heavy things, like we had in Latvia a bucket with water from the well. And that's a steam engine as well, I think. No, it must be the hydropower with the water stream turning it and then using these cylinders for pumping something or whatever. And that's something kind of similar, but there the cylinders are inside there. And what's that? I have no clue what's that. You can read, friends. Well, I'm just joking. You can read here as well. There's even English, but I don't have enough time for that small details. But I like these mechanical things. Like you can see how these work. And these are weighing scales. Very precise ones. Cool. Properly cool. So yes, what I was saying, what was I saying, was that if you set yourself very high expectations, you will find very hard time to live up to them, and especially if the things are not depending on you, like if it's not you who are living up to them, but if you're just expecting from the world around you to fulfill your wishes, which are very high, you pretty much are heading for a definite disappointment, because the outer world will not grant all your high expectation wishes. Is it the clock? It looks like it is, and that's the globe. How can I show it without reflection? And that's some astronomical stuff as well, I think. There's some representatives talking about this exhibition, probably. Cool guys. I like what you made. Even though I'm very surface kind of observer. I don't get into a lot of details and I don't spend time reading everything. The Arab boat with Latin sails, I think. I think they would be Latin sails. They look like they are, yeah. Anything interesting there? Oh, it's just where we were. So, yes, if you are setting these high expectations to the world around you, in that case you're almost definite to be disappointed and unhappy as a result, because the world around you will not care about fulfilling your expectations. You can watch some movies here. Is it an eye? How eye works? My guess only. Anyway, and the opposite is true as well, because that's some optical stuff as well. You see the drawing and this thing with the spherical shapes. Is it a solar clock? Not sure. And is that some Arab scientist? Hello? Arab scientist. Are you an Arab scientist? Or it's just my foolish guess? Have no clue, sorry. So, the opposite is true the same way. If you are lowering your expectations towards your outer world, then it is almost certain that the outer world will deliver more than you expect. And when it delivers more than you expect, what will be the result? What do you think? There's only one way. There's only one possibility how will be the result. You will be happy. People, can you hear me? You will be happy. Do you want a certain way how to be happy? This is it. Lower your expectations to the outer world. And what is this? Stretching bench. Is it some kind of torture instrument, or is it something for medicine? Oh no, it's for the treatment of dislocations of the back vertebrae. Oh, that's cool. It's not torture, guys. Nice. It's medicine, actually. But it makes sense. I have been healing my own back, but not with this kind of stretching, but just hanging vertically by my arms, and that way stretching my back vertebrae. So yeah, I can testify that this thing should work. Cool. So, and basically, that's my main idea where I was leading this whole talk too. That if you lower your expectations from the outer world, it is almost certain that what you will get will be more than you expect. And whenever you get more than you expect, you are happy. As simple as that, guys. Seriously, my friends, listen to me. It's very simple to be happy. Just lower your expectations, and whatever you will get will be more than you hoped for. And when you get more than you hoped for, you are happy. You can't help yourself. That's how it works. That's why I find in, well, that's all kind of scalpels, I think. Crazy. That's why when I travel, I try to leave as much room as possible for unexpected nice things which can happen unplanned. And when they happen unplanned, it is very nice, it is very pleasant, it's so good surprise. It's something good which happened which I didn't expect. Okay, here you can see the 800 to the 1600s. So basically, quite a long time. I don't know which ones were the biggest of them, but that's some stretch of time, serious. It's a little bit after the Muhammad, couple centuries, or what is it after, 1.5 century, yeah? Something like that, after Muhammad was living, and all that time till the beginning of 17th century. Huh. Cool. This way I can show you all of it. So yes, friends, that was my idea which I wanted to share with you. Leave a lot of place for unexpected good things which can happen, and you will find yourself being happy. That's how it works. That's why I'm happy finding these kind of places which I didn't have any plan for, and I didn't expect to get it. Excuse me. Thank you. And yeah, leave plenty of space for that. And you'll find many unexpected nice things which will happen to you. And the result is only one possibility. You will be happy. These are small things which I found here, but I'm happy because of that, because I didn't plan for it. I didn't hope for it. I didn't actually plan to come into Turkish side as such. I can take off my mask now. So, and all that happened. How can I not be happy? Okay, this is long story, intertwined with many things, but I hope you got the message. And in some way, I even kind of hope that this scattered around narration, what is it called, will be a bit more interesting even, than if I was just monotonously talking about the same things. The same 21 minute which I see this clip is already, which will be part of the bigger video. So I guess it might be a long video. I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's what the result happens to be. So friends, let's see where the mosque is. Oh, that's something similar to bazaar or souk. In Arabic I think it's called souk. Well, I'm pretty sure I know it, it's souk. The market. Yeah, this must be a souk. In Turkish it might be a different name, although sometimes they use Arabic names for things, especially religion related, but maybe not souk, I'm not sure. But in any case, let's walk around and see. Isn't it nice, friends? I wouldn't be opposed to come and every day and buy my food here. And I can imagine the prices are just amazing as well. Especially since you're paying in Turkish lira, which has no value left in it anymore. So you can exchange a couple euros for a big bunch of liras, and you can buy half of the market for that. Well, I'm exaggerating, of course. Sorry. But yeah, you get my point. Nice souk. Look at these things, guys. How can you not like it? Amazing. You know, friends, there is only one problem with all that thing. My battery will finish soon. It's so interesting that I can't stop filming. I'm thinking to make a short clip, say a couple sentences, and then switch it off and walk to the next place, whatever I find interesting. But you see what happens. I'm not finished one thing when I see something next interesting, and the clip is continuing and continuing longer and longer. And I wanted to charge my battery from my pocket charger, power bank, in between those clips. But now you see, it actually did happen just now. When I was showing you this and I was saying, look at these things, the phone switched off and the video stopped recording. So, oh, actually, by the way, I need to check if that recording is saved or not. Just a moment, guys. I just went a little bit sideways on the side of this market to check my phone, and I got a scare of my life. That video initially showed that it wasn't recorded. When I didn't press the stop recording video but just phone switched off because the battery was dead, it initially wasn't showing the video, and I was looking and checking many times, and I was thinking, what will I do now? Shall I go all the distance and film it the second time and go in the museum second time and everywhere? And I was thinking, no, the second time won't be the same. You will feel it in my voice that I'm talking like a robot, being bored of that because I talked it once already. The first time thing is always a fresh thing. If you do it second time, it's always like a heated up soup. You can eat it, but it's not that anymore. But then, while I was sitting here and thinking, I'm sitting here on one bench. There's the market. So I just came here. And while I was thinking, what shall I do now? Suddenly, that video appeared after a couple minutes, bit more. Strange, I don't know. But let's better not risk this with iPhones. Let's not try to film till the very end of the battery. You know what the thing is? I now connected my phone to my charger from my pocket. Here is my power bank, my mask which I don't need, my power bank, and it's charging now. But the problem is that while I'm charging, I can't use the earphones and microphone because it's the same socket which is used for charger now. So the sound will not be as good. Well, in this place, I guess it might be very good because the microphone in the phone is good. But the problem is that it's on the other side. It's on this side, and it picks up all the side noises. Like the passing cars you will hear a lot better than myself. And if there's a wind, of course, there is no help. Like I have this thing on my microphone, which helps against wind tremendously. But that's why I try to use that microphone, and that's why I don't charge while I film. And now I was filming, and I'm usually charging between I film, and now I was just filming. That's why it happened what happened. So now you will have to bear with this sound. Here I think it's good because it's quiet, but when I get somewhere noisier places, maybe by that time I will have charged my phone enough already so I can use microphone again. Anyway, before I leave this place, you know what it is? That's the very end of the market, the end wall. And I just looked in my map. Behind that end wall, where the stairs are and the peak hole, you know what's there? That tree is already in the buffer zone. We are on the very border. That side is the Republic of Cyprus, the Greek-speaking part of Cyprus, behind that buffer zone, which is behind this wall. Cool. And you know, guys, I'm sometimes very curious, sometimes too curious, if there is a stair with a hole. Why should not we try climb up and look what we can see here? Let's try not to fall down. My phone is already in the buffer zone. Oh, that's crazy. I don't see myself what I'm filming, but now when I could see, you don't see anymore. I'll have to look after what I have filmed. So that was the hole which I was peeking through. These were the stairs which I used to climb up. And there is the market itself. So I probably was in some place where I kind of wasn't supposed to be going, I don't know, but there's no sign or nothing else. Nobody told anything. So I guess I'm okay. I'm just curious, you know. You see all these amazing old stuff. Crazy. Interesting. Looks like it's from the water, what do you call it, not turbine, water wheel probably. And what is this? Who can tell me? Something crazy interesting. Some steam engine was it before? No. I don't know. Crazy stuff. Life is good, my dear friends. It's so much interesting in this life. Or is it only me who finds all these things interesting? What do you think? let me know. Yeah, what do you think, friends, about my ideas about expectations versus happiness? If you want, you can let me know in your comments. What do you think about it? Shall we check maybe? Shall we check the prices? So, domates, which means tomatoes, is 4 Turkish lira for kilogram, I guess. Pretty sure. So, mandarins are 5. Elma is apple, obviously, which is 7. So, let's say 4 to 7. Let me make a small pause in recording and find out what would it be. Oh no, I don't have internet here, my friends. Although I'm very close to the Greek part, maybe I can catch the signal from the Greek tower, and then I could use internet. Let me check. I did manage to catch, you see, there is the border, and I was barely able to catch the signal, and I did catch the internet from the south side, so I checked. It's 34 cents per kilo for tomatoes. Not bad, what do you think? And you see these things, I don't know what it is, but something very interesting. Some workshop of something they're making, I don't know what here. Something from wood, I think. Cool. And here's Bob Marley. Did you know where Bob Marley is living? I hear his voice. Cool. And that was the market door which I came out from. Yeah, you can see it is way more poor than the south side. You see these guys, the big one and the 2 small ones, who are sleeping like this. And I actually, hi guys, can you speak English? Not really, probably. And I see 4 others here. Are they still here or no? I forgot to show you guys. Yeah? Well, 3. Oh no, all 4. Hi guys. Meow. Yeah. Can you say it in English? Or only in Turkish? Which language do you speak? Turkish? Turkish? Yeah. Okay, I understand you. Okay. You seem to be very dissatisfied with something. Is sun shining too bright on you? Sun is actually... no, it's overcast probably. Yeah? Overcast. Is it? Okay, I got you. Nice. So, and there, I should say, I see that mosque which I was chasing while I noticed this market and this exhibition hall, or whatever it's called, but where the exhibition about the sciences, Islamic sciences, are. And is it electric? Looks like it is, yeah. Cool. Volta. Nice, nice. It goes without sound. Tuk-tuk without sound. Is that ridiculous or what, dear people? Tuk-tuk normally is tuk-tuk because of the characteristic tuk-tuk-tuk sound. And here you can see tuk-tuk which goes without sound. Electric tuk-tuk. What do you think about that kind of combination of words? Which side do you think we might get an entry in that mosque? Or is it completely closed and we won't get any entry in it? What do you think, friends? I think that side might be a better bet rather than this side, although this was closer. Ooh, ooh. You see that, guys? There are broken parts. I think they are restoring it now. But you can see there were arches, what do you call them, which are broken. Wow. And even a small tree is growing there. And it doesn't look from yesterday. It is small, but it looks old still, because it's a bonsai. It doesn't have a lot of space for roots. Oh, friends, what is that? Well, it is crazy. I can't film in this place. It's one thing after another. Hello. One thing after another. There's something interesting. Wow. Is it from 70s as well? Could be. Crazy. I was wondering if that was broken from the 70s bombings. But could that be? Oh, no, I won't see it from the other side. Okay. Could this be as well in the 70s? It's not Greek. Don't know. Yeah. Do you see that house behind it? Can I zoom it? It's a bit sad looking stuff. And what do you think, friends? Will we get in that mosque or no? Or is it completely closed and nobody is allowed in? Now there's extension of the market here, it looks like. Here, I mean. Here we can peek in. No, it doesn't look like we'll be let in. Probably not. Maybe from the... Not really. Hello, friends. If Caucasian countries, the Armenia and Georgia, were full of dogs, then Northern Cyprus seems to be full of cats. Yeah, probably I won't be getting into this place. Or maybe there. Can you see, guys? Can you tell me what do you see? I'm stretching as high as I can and I can't see myself. What am I filming? I have to go around because I didn't see anything. You saw, I didn't. And what's that? Again, something cool. What is it? Interesting. Oh, have you seen such a car? Elektrikli araba. I like elektrikli araba. Wow. Car for one person. Well, for one fat person, I would say. Or two very thin ones. No, can't show. No, I can kind of. I am a bit weird, probably, doing these things now. But it's too interesting. How not to show it? Elektrikli araba. Ah no, not elektrikli, but elektrikli. You see? I know that much from Turkish, that this with the point, it is letter I, like we use, like in English as well, I. But this without the point, and it doesn't matter if it's capital or small letter, but without the point, it is U. Like in Russian they have U. Hello cat, is it true what I said? Do you know Turkish language? Is I and U two different sounds and two different letters, yeah? Sorry, I'm too aggressively speaking to you probably. Look how he blends in that wall with this color coat. Perfect camouflage. And I never knew it, imagine. Okay friends, I'm chatting and talking. This video will probably have to be a separate video about the northern part of Is it some tea house or something? He was brewing tea, I think. About the northern part of Nicosia, or again, in English it's Nicosia, in Greek it's Lefkosia, but in Turkish I think it is Lefkosa, but I'm not sure, I have to check it. You see, I didn't plan to come to this city today. Actually, it's a funny thing. It's first time in my life when I go through the passport control to a different country without planning it, without thinking that I will be going to a different country today. That's crazy, actually. I never thought. I just now realized. You saw it actually. I filmed it at that moment when I was walking very close to the gate through the buffer zone, and when I thought, maybe should I just go in? I wish I could make such decisions with all countries. Should I just go to that country today? I don't know. This one is locked. I thought maybe I can get in there, but no. This is a crazy ex-promptu day, but in a very good way. And I'm really liking it and really enjoying it, I can tell you that. What is that? Oh, yeah, that's a confirmation of what I said. I wasn't wrong, I'm happy about that. Lefkosa, or Lefkosha. Is it sh or s? I think it's sh. So Lefkosa, probably. I should ask probably somebody. And I don't know where the stress is as well. It is Lefkosa or Lefkosha or Lefkosha. Could be at least 3 possibilities. Nice! Isn't this beautiful, my friend? Nice. But yeah, it looks like this mosque is something unattainable for us. Or maybe from this side. Let's see. And you see again 3 cats. Hi guys. You are really many here. And I met many of your relatives a moment ago. Can you tell me why are you so many here? You look very afraid of me, and you completely ran away from me. Sorry, my friends. I didn't want to spook you. I just wanted to ask to you, but you don't speak English probably. Yeah, I'm too dangerous, I know, sorry. Sit here, don't worry. This is my best bet about the possible entrance to that mosque. It's huge actually, it's huge. Let's see. No, but it's all locked here as well. And this says it's library, Sultan Mahmud II library. Okay, Sultan. Yeah, probably we won't be getting in there. And I guess it might be dangerous if it's in that poor condition. Okay, friends. we'll go without it probably. And now I'll finally switch off my camera and we'll look in my map. And we'll try to find out which direction should I go next, because while I'm talking I have no clue where I have gone. Well, I kind of know directions, but that's it. And even that is quite approximate, but yeah, I'm pretty much sure which direction is south. Okay friends, I'll switch you off for a moment and I'll orientate myself. By the way, do you know what means orientate? Orient is east, and orientate, it means turn to east. Funny. That's how this word came about. That doesn't look too happy. Anyway, I'll switch you off and I'll orientate myself and decide which direction will I go next. Or should I just go straight to the next border checkpoint where I can go back to the south side? I have to check what time is it now as well. It could be quite late already. A small update, my friends. I found out from a local person how to pronounce the city properly. It is really Esh, not S, so Lefkosa, but the stress is on O, so Lefkosa. So the city I'm in, now I know it, is called Lefkosa. So there are 3 different names for the same city. In English it is Nicosia, in Greek it is Lefkosia, and in Turkish it's Lefkosa. Nicosia, Lefkosia, Lefkosa. Now I know it. And now you know it too. Sorry my friends for fooling around too much, but I just saw this thing and it sounded too amusing for me. Son durak. I don't know what it means in Turkish, but son in English would be son, and durak in Russian would be fool. I'm laughing about things I shouldn't be laughing about, probably. It's just amusing for me to see something which in different languages means something else. The same way Finnish tourists are laughing about a couple Latvian street names, which I won't mention, which in Latvian mean just a normal name of the place, but in Finnish means something which when they see they all start Okay friends, let's see what else we can find interesting here. Is it a call to a prayer? Probably, and there's one minaret, so that could be another mosque. Yeah. Can you hear it as well? I think you should. Well friends, isn't that cool? All kinds of small streets where you can easily get lost. what's here? Nothing really. Is it for feet? Yes, this must be. Yes, and this is. That's what I was looking for. The other mosque, which we just heard the call to prayer from. And that's something quite crazy. What do you think, friends? Shall we try? That's the new place probably where to wash the feet before you walk in. And that is the minaret from inside of the courtyard of the mosque. I wonder what would happen if I just leave my shoes here and try to go in. I was having a chat with that man who was praying in the mosque, and after he finished the prayer, and I was asking if that was the prayer time. He said yes, but during day when people work, not many people come, and he was the only one to pray, and after that one other man came, but nobody else. But he said at the evening the mosque is full, and he said it is a small mosque. And it was a church before, but when Ottoman Empire came in the 16th century, end of 16th century, then it was turned into mosque and the minaret was built. He called it minare, but I think it's the same thing. Well, I know it's the same thing. So, more things to discover. What will be the next? We'll see. Now my battery should be charged enough so that I can use microphone again. And yeah, you can see, I will see later on as well, is the sound better or not. I definitely know it's better if there's a big wind, but now there's no wind, so maybe that's not so big difference. Just a little bit less side noises. And if I continue going on this street, I should at the end come out near the Ledras Palace, or forgot again. There was the same name. Ledra Street was that first crossing which I came in through, and then it was the same name but not street but palace. Ledra, I think, palace. That was the second one which I want to use for going back to the south side to see a little bit more difference. We'll see. The Lefkosa Street wouldn't be Lefkosa Street if there wouldn't be at least two cats wandering around. That's one more thing which I have learned. Aha, Nicosia walled city. Yeah, here you can see the whole Nicosia. And actually, in this map you don't even see the buffer zone at all. There is no sign of it. Wow, interesting. And I came in on the side way here because this seemed to be something interesting. What do you think? What could that thing be in the middle? Something for water? It's an interesting place. Yeah, it should be something for water. See those taps all around. If somebody can read and understand Turkish, could tell me what this means. Could it be a water reservoir from the roofs which go here? Could it be a garbage bin? But there are the water taps all around it. Huh, I have no clue. And of course more Lefkosa cats. Just 4 here. But they're having a feast. And if you think it's too few, only 4, here you can have 3 more. And there were 2 at that side which we just saw. So you shouldn't feel too lonely here, I think. I actually did ask the lady who lives here in that door and who was hanging out the clothes, what was that thing? And she said, well, she didn't speak almost any English, but she knew the word water. And I was asking, is it from the roof? It goes there, and then it's there. And she was trying to explain me something more in detail, which I couldn't understand. Of course, it was in Turkish. And she didn't speak any other language besides Turkish, as far as I understood. But I understood that at the end it was something more tricky than just like this. But I understood that at the end she said evet, which in Turkish means yes, as far as I know. So probably it is rainwater from the roof which is collected in that place. Amazing, amazing. What a cool thing. Clever people who lived here when they built it. Nice. Let's continue to our walk towards that border crossing point. Well, probably I shouldn't say border crossing, but how can I not say border crossing when there are 2 sides on each of them? They're checking my passport. What is it if not border? But yeah, theoretically, south side doesn't recognize it as a border. Yep, that's the situation. And more cats. Lefkosa without cats wouldn't be Lefkosa. And this cat is a little bit more aggressive one. I think he is limping, but he was chasing one other cat under that car. They were running from that side. Ah, here he is. And this one was making such a noise as I don't know what to compare it to. Like he should be 3 times dead making such a noise, while that other white one was chasing this guy under the car. So probably they are 2 males who couldn't divide one female among themselves. I don't know for other explanation of it. And I actually need to go to the other side, but this is something interesting. 2 interesting things. One is this thing, Cool, real cool stuff. And another, look at this. Is it real? Is it really real? Or is it plastic? No, it is plastic, of course. That's crazy. Because at this time of the year, cherries shouldn't be in bloom. Whatever they should be doing, but not blooming. It's November, come on. Yeah, but it caught my eye. So that's why I came here. Okay, let's go back. And let's go towards our checkpoint, the border crossing point. Very good, very good. He was actually selling oranges, but I was just saying to him that I liked his cart. But I have no Turkish lira for buying oranges, although I suspect that he might actually be happy to take euros as well. But no, I don't need any oranges, because I found out yesterday that in my hostel's yard there is a tree full of oranges, and I tasted them. They're really good. I haven't eaten, I think. And of course, more Lefkosa cats here. Of course, guys. What would be a roof without more cats on them? That's crazy. Like dogs in Armenia, cats in Lefkosa. Maybe all Northern Cyprus? Don't know. Haven't been yet to any other city besides this. Here you can see the old fortification wall and the depression, the sunken in place, which is used for growing stuff here on the Turkish side. Remember how it looked, the same thing, how it looked on the Greek side. That fancy park full of lights and all kind of other things during night. On the Turkish side it looks like this. And I'm not saying which is better or which is worse. Both are good. One is good for the tourists and cool looking place, for meeting place, and another is good for natural food, organic and healthy and local and fresh. I couldn't even say which is better. Both are good. And this is nice as well. What do you think? And of course we have a friend here. Oh, these friends are really like feral. They're afraid of people, at least when people are getting too close to them. Well, maybe only I am such a frightening character, and they wouldn't be afraid of anybody else, just me. I hope not. That wouldn't be a very good sign. What do you think? So friends, we are slowly getting closer. Hey, you have these kind of cars here as well. Not only poor people are living here, but that's the same story in every poor place. You have poor people and few extremely rich people. That's everywhere in the world. So my friends, somewhere here should be the Ledra Palace border crossing, or buffer line crossing, or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Just a place which I can use to go from the north Turkish-speaking side to the south Greek-speaking side, where is my hostel still, where I need to get back to. And also I would like to see a little bit more of that side's Lefkosia, because I didn't see much yet. Well, I saw something during that late evening when I was walking, and I saw something this morning, but I have been more in this side rather than on that side. What is this? Oh yeah, here is the Ledra Palace, the border crossing. So friends, I took out my passport and vaccination certificate just in case they ask for it, and I put my camera in my stealth mode. So let's go and see how things work here. Ledra Palace. It's definitely not as many people here as they were there. And where is the border control itself? Ah, probably here. Yeah, that's the passport control. Hello. Thank you. So that was pretty simple. So that was the Turkish side of the border crossing. Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus forever. Let's see if I can take a picture of it as well without getting in trouble. And here is some building with Turkish flag as well. So this is the old walls of the city, the fortification. Venetian walls, I think they're called. I think they were built on the time when Venetians were ruling in this area, but I'm not exactly sure. But this technically is the no man's land, and here it's quite wide. You see, this is the Turkish side, Turkish-speaking side, and this is the no man's land. Again, no photography. What do they have with this problem with photography? I don't understand. What are they hiding in that no man's land? There is nothing to hide, you see. Empty, derelict building with nothing inside. What can you hide there? Okay. And is there something interesting? Probably no. But you see the United Nations sign, because that's the United Nations controlled no man's land, the buffer zone of United Nations. And that's probably again something which shouldn't be photographed or filmed or whatever, but you see it anyway. So I think somewhere near should be the Greek border checkpoint. Here this no man's land is wider. This, you see already, this is in Greek. These writings are in Greek, and there are Cyprus, Republic of Cyprus flag, and there's a cat as well. Okay, not only on Turkish side there are cats. It looks like the tourists are just walking and eating here. Can it be? No, probably there will be another checkpoint. It looks like, oh, this is interesting. Cool, I'll take a picture of it. So, I think this still is no man's land. UN controlled buffer zone. Peacekeeping forces are controlling the zone, and you see nobody is living or allowed to live in this buffer zone. Imagine that tragedy. If you were building a house for your family, and you built this beautiful house, and then after all this what happened? Your house is taken away. You have to flee away. Again, cat. And your house is in the buffer zone. And nobody is allowed to live there, including you who built it with your own hands. Not nice. Like with all wars, it's not nice. And I understand that on the Turkish side there are whole city blocks of houses which are still left derelict since the times of 74, 6, don't remember when was it. Should I be allowed to walk in here or no? Probably shouldn't ask for trouble too much, but maybe a little bit. Because technically I think it's still the no man's land. And you see people's houses are like this. What a pity. Yeah, and in those areas, like in Famagusta, where I hope to go in the next days, there are places where there are whole city blocks which are fenced off and guarded by Turkish police. Well, Northern Cypriot police, I should say, probably. Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Yeah, there is a Greek side border checkpoint. I can see it already. So all of that was the no man's land, but interesting that there is some business going on. There was one cafe, there is some catering service, and also I saw the same thing near my hostel, where the football stadium and some other businesses are, and homes are encroaching slightly over the border of the buffer zone, so within the buffer zone. So they are pushing their borders, I guess, trying to use every inch which they can. And here you can drive with a car in as well. Although technically I read that this border crossing is not for cars, only for pedestrians. Yeah, you see, there's something written about the division. And this is the Greek-speaking version of what happened, about the evil Turkish forces which came in and annexed, occupied our land. Well, again, I don't take sides, I just show this is one of the sides. So let's go for the border control. Oh no, stealth mode. Hello. Hello, how are you? Thank you. Even that house is derelict, although it's technically on this side already of the buffer zone. Or maybe it's not, like maybe here it is this side and that is already in the buffer zone technically. Could be. But again, it's interesting. This is derelict. The next two houses are derelict and the next one was operating business. Is there any other checkpoints still? Shouldn't be. And what is this? Some Greek person. There were two soldiers who were looking at my camera with suspicious and a little bit evil eye. You see the UN cars. So these could be the peace. No, but they were in uniforms. So that could be the peacekeeping forces of UN who patrol the buffer zone and make sure that nobody is going in there. And in that buffer zone, actually, it's crazy. There's an airport, which once was a bustling and hustling big airport, the international airport of Nicosia. And it is now, after all these things, there were a lot of fighting over that airport. And the end was that that airport was left stranded in the buffer zone. So basically, that airport is literally standing as it was, with all the check-in booths and everything, like you can imagine, all the airports. But airport how they looked on 70s, yeah. And it is standing like that, empty, derelict, crazy, and nobody can use it. People have to go to some other airports. They can't use Nicosia airport anymore. And those, which I was starting to tell you about, those blocks, city blocks, which are fenced and guarded by Turkish police, so that nobody goes in Famagusta and other places in north, I have heard that in many places, when they left the Greek-speaking Cypriots, when they flee away, when the bombing started and the fighting started, the place was badly bombed when the Turkish army invaded. And I understand that, and this is, you see, this is the buffer zone, because it doesn't go in straight line. It goes like this, and we are kind of going around that curve in the buffer zone. And wow, here you can see something perfectly good. You see? UN buffer zone, no photography, no litter, please. So, no photography, okay? And you see there is this watchtower with the big letters UN on it. Crazy. So that's the buffer zone. No photography, guys, yeah? Okay? Deal? Okay, let's keep going. So when the Turkish army invaded, the Greek-speaking Cypriots were fleeing away from the places, like extremely lucrative, wealthy tourist places like Famagusta. They were fleeing away, and they left everything because they thought they flee away for 2 or 3 days and they'll be back. But they had to leave. This is a nice site, which shouldn't be photographed, but it's too nice not to show you guys. What do you think? Who else? Well, where else I can see such nice view? So, and the people were thinking that they're leaving for 2 or 3 days and they'll come back. And they literally left their pot on the stove. They left their love letters in the cupboard in the press somewhere, and they left everything in their homes because they thought they'll be coming back. And to this day, they haven't been allowed even for 10 seconds to enter in their house anymore. Imagine how that must feel, especially if you have built this house with your own hands. And it was in times in the 70s when people were a lot more attached to their land, to their place. It's not like today when people are traveling and moving around and they don't feel such attachment to the place where they were born, or to the house which they built. Crazy, crazy. And this all happens because of some bigger political interests. Well, I won't comment that much about that, but there were bigger powers who were interested in all that thing, why it all happened. Why suddenly the friendly Cypriots had to take sides. Either you are with a Greek-speaking or with a Turkish-speaking, and you have to fight the other ones. Okay, that's maybe for another time. But you see, that's the Turkish side, I think. That's where the buffer zone is very narrow. Could it be? It's just this fence. I don't mean this, but this. This fence, and on top of there, that fence. Can it be? Can't believe. I have to look on the map. But it's very narrow here. Because you see, these are Turkish flags. Turkey and Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus on the right. And there are people having some nice meal in cafe. Probably in the Turkish side. Strange. So I did check, my friends. Funny, it is really a buffer zone. So that side, where the flags are, behind that fence, is the Turkish side. And this is the buffer zone, but it's not that narrow. It's very crazy, actually. My map shows that this road, this street, is actually a buffer zone. That the other border goes on that side of the road. And it is a new road. So I guess that probably the Greek speakers have just decided to encroach in that buffer zone because they badly needed to build a road here. I don't know. But that is really a Turkish part up there on that city wall. And here, technically, it's called buffer zone on the map. And actually, what's even more funny, you see that roundabout in front of us? We are going there. That's in the buffer zone as well. But that buffer zone is making some strange bend here. That side of buffer zone goes to this, like the upper fence goes. That's where the buffer zone ends. And technically I am in the buffer zone, and this roundabout is in the buffer zone as well. And the other side of the buffer zone, the Greek speaking, would start only from that side of the street. So the buffer zone goes on that side of the street, then it makes a weird curve around that roundabout, and then there. It means that roundabout technically on the map, according to map, is in the buffer zone. But they obviously don't take it that seriously now. And probably there are some kind of agreements, I don't know what and how. You know these things, they can always agree on some things when the big money is involved. And yeah, they have built this road through the buffer zone. And you see, it is a new road. It is very recent. How old do you think this place is? Like you see, it's not more than a few years, couple of years at best, maybe less even. It's new. And probably before that, yeah, I don't know. Can we see any remnants of the buffer zone that side fencing? Would be interesting. I'm not sure if we will see anything. When they built this road, they took away all the barbed wires. But imagine in those days when they were not even allowed to cross the border to each other. Like the Turkish-speaking Cypriots lived there and the Greek speakers lived here. So, and the buffer zone was in the middle. So I guess that the buffer zone is there, and here speaks, that side is the Greek speaking part. And imagine during those days, the Turkish side, they were sitting on that cafe. Well, maybe at that time, on those days, maybe there were no cafe. There were soldiers. I don't know. But I'm just imagining if they were sitting on the cafe, Turkish side, and they were looking how the Greek side is living. Because it was very serious segregation, very serious division between them. Like now it's quite civilized already. There is still history, heavy load history behind, but they're quite friendly to each other as far as I understand, and they can travel to each other and so on. Again, a UN vehicle, you see, going to that entrance to that buffer zone, the real buffer zone, which here is pretty much done away with. Interesting. So friends, I think here I must put a full stop for my explorations of the northern part of Nicosia, as called in Turkish Lefkosa, and I will continue my explorations in the southern part in my other video, which you can feel free to check out as well, the video about the southern Nicosia, or as in Greek language they say Lefkosia. So that will be in my other video. So I was happy that I made this detour today and crossed into another country in the other part of the city. It was crazy worth it. It was amazing, and I'm looking forward to go back to Northern Cyprus in a couple of days' time and to explore more of that amazing, unusual country, unrecognized, well, except Turkey, country. So, have a good evening, or, well, it's evening for me. I don't know what is it for you. Whatever it is for you, friends, have it good. All the best, and see you in some other place, in some other time.